Yes, good night, Facebook. Once again, welcome to another episode of Point Blank Calling Wednesdays. Um, I would just like to say special good night here to the folks in Linden and Region 10. Good night to the folks Ichuni, Kakwani, Araimo, all the way to the Veld in the Borbis River. Good night to the folks in 57, 58, Great Falls, Marataro, every place where my broadcast is. Also, good night to the folks in the Caribbean. Make this broadcast wider. Yes, good night to the folks in the Caribbean. And good night to those in the wider diaspora. Folks, I tell you something. I am just back from New Amsterdam. I drove and drove just to get here for 9 o'clock. You understand? That when it was, I think it was 5:32, I was still on the other side of Berbice in Region 6. So I managed to constant, just so I'm here in Linden again, sitting on Point Blank, Falling Wednesdays, and my tonight topic, I will rather for it to be about the United Nations address and question about Vice President by Jagdeo and corruption and all that he labeled the country to be place of no democracy and all, whatever they want to say. Well, I'll tell you something about the United Nation, that weak, that weak, weak body that they call the United Nations. The United Nations today is sitting and watching the world's worst atrocity in modern time. I mean, slavery was bad enough, and slavery can be excused because we didn't have the modern technology to see things firsthand that went on in slavery and the Holocaust and those atrocities that took place. What you see in today's modern world, where humanity is better equipped and the United Nations sit idly by and watch Benjamin Netanyahu in his quest to obliterate Gaza, the West Bank, and to annihilate every single Palestinian, man, woman, and child. Nobody is excluded from the wrath of Netanyahu, where the United Nations refuse to do what is right by humanity. but rather attacked Guyana and Vice President VP Jagdeo at a forum. The United Nations has no moral authority to speak on anything in Guyana, because what is going on here in Guyana, when compared to what is going on in places like Palestine and and Ukraine, it's like comparing chalk to cheese. And the United Nations cannot do anything as it relates to what Putin is doing and what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. But they perceive Guyana and VP Jagdeo to be weak, so they attack the weakling in the most vile way. And where a serious attack is needed, they turn a deaf ear and a blind eye. Guyana has made significant strides under the PPP. Significant strides. There are a few people who are hurting, who are constantly reporting Guyana, like the Melly Mells and the Rickford Burke and the idiot Mark Benchcop and those guys, you know. Sherrod Duncan and them donkey. Them basic donkeys of this world who have no standing whatsoever, but rather try to bring down a man that the world admires. I don't know. I don't know. And I mean, their attacks are so constant that they reach to the United Nations with a folly. And before they do a comprehensive analysis of what's going on here in Guyana, they bump them out and attack at a high forum. But you know what's ironic? They're carrying out these attacks on our leaders. And the people that really matters in this world are here visiting and having dinners and sharing light moments with the very people that they attack. It's unheard of. 679-7846 is the number to call. Call in Wednesdays. And if you don't have a call, you don't want to call, send me a comment. 679-7846. Call in Wednesdays. Give us a call.
the president's greatest challenge. Still lives in poverty.
As I go through Facebook, give me a call on 679-7846. Let's discuss tonight on Call-In Wednesdays. Send a comment. Only tonight. See, we're attacking the president because he put on BBC reporting. Yes. Yeah, it's very funny, right? That when if if a foreigner, a foreign reporter comes and attack our leaders, there is a particular segment, not segment, section of our society who cheers at that kind of behavior. And if our leaders are to fire back appropriately, and then our leaders are condemned by the very sector, they're condemned. So our leaders must face the brunt of the nasty attacks that is set up by the Melly Mells and the Rickford Burks of this world. People who can't come home and face their charges, their criminal charges. But as soon as our leaders decide to represent themselves, it's a problem. 679-7846 is the number to call. Good night, Anil, George Hill, good night. Richard Stansellers, good night. Latisha Mohabir, good night. 679-7846. Give me a call, please. You know, as I was driving through the East Coast and through the West Coast of Berbice today, and partly the East Coast of Berbice, and when you look at the amount of development, my word, look, I am interrupted rudely. Rudely interrupted. Common point blank to show off that you're drinking water. Drinking water, spitting out all the water. Look, the people laughing on point blank. Look. Look. Say good night. You see? Good night. Sure enough. Come to show off from Point Blank, man. You drinking any water? Hold on. Hold on. Ah, go. You go. Good night. Bye-bye. This lady. 679-7846. Give me a call. Yes, I was saying as I move through the coast and you look at the amount of development, it is impossible for the blind not to see the level of infrastructural development that is taking place right across this country. Right across this country. I mean, when I left London today to go to New Amsterdam, again, I don't use the East Bank Road when I get to Craig. From Craig, that's it. East Bank, bye bye. I'm using the new highway, head through Diamond and onto the Heroes Highway. Come out till at the back of the back road by multi school. You bust through Sophia there, bam, roads again, more roads. Come through the back by UG, next to turn there, railway embankment, shut out. Come out by Enmore and keep beating, so by the time you know it, you're in Rosignal. Roads clean, smooth, sweet. Can't complain. Nobody, nobody along that coast is complaining anymore. Nobody. Everyone is saying kudos to the government for what they would have done in a very, very short time. Places that never see roads. Roads are there. And yes, it's not done yet because you can see the ongoing works, the excavating of the pathways and the laying of sand and the bitumen and every single thing. In some cases, concrete. And if that is not good, well, the government is under attack for that too. You can hear the naysayers. Oh, the people can't eat road. People need a better living. They is what's ironic about when they cry out for better living and better cost of livable wages and stuff like that. If the PPP had only left those taxes that the Granger administration had put on people, if the PPP had only left those taxes that the Granger administration had put on people, I tell you something, it would have been a doomsday in this country. Doomsday. Because some of the harshest tax measures were implemented and hoisted upon the people of Guyana during that 2015 to 2020 era. That seems like a lifetime. I mean, I'm in conversation with some very young people, even today, and you can hear people, the young ones, saying, never again. Never again. We rather the PPP. We are enjoying the PPP. I pick up a nurse I saw a nurse by the bus stop today, Fort Wellington bus stop. And she actually flagged down the car. She was going to New Amsterdam Hospital. I pick up the nurse, right? So it was to minutes to 3. So I asked her if she's going to work for 3 o'clock. She said no. She was actually going to work for 1 o'clock. But she late because she went to the Fort Wellington Regional Hospital to get an injection, a, a B complex injection, a BCO. She's pregnant. And when she said that, I asked her if you're working at the New Amsterdam Hospital, why you need to go to to Fort Wellington Hospital for a bit. She said because New Amsterdam Hospital doesn't have a lot. And she rather to go to the Fort Wellington and take this injection so that our patients, when they come, they can get the B complex at New Amsterdam Hospital. So this thing sound like a joke to me. I mean, so I asked her who is the the RHO, and she said the regional health officer. I said yes, and she said some Sharma. Say it's a woman, it's Sharma. And I asked her if the RHO is aware that the hospital doesn't have medications such as B complex. And she said they're aware of everything, but they don't bring. I tell her something. I know how to believe this story, but I bring in this story here because I want it addressed. And I want the authorities get to the bottom of this story because I find it very strange that a simple thing like B complex, that is New Amsterdam Hospital, which is a primary hospital in our setup, doesn't have B complex. And if that is so, I want the shortage of certain drugs at these hospitals to come to an end. Must come to an end. If I believe, I know that we get a lot of drugs to throw away because of expiration and all of that. We need to start focusing and bringing the kind of drugs that would last longer, one, and bringing the drug that is most commonly used so that we wouldn't have to throw away a lot and we wouldn't run out of drug that we've used on a regular basis. I mean, we we are in a better place today, a real better place. And something has got to be wrong with the stock taking of the inventory and the documenting of these medicine as they leave the facility, because it should never reach to the point where a facility is out of these kind of medication before it is replenished. And I know that we can do better. And I ain't sitting here to bash anybody. I ain't bashing nobody here. So all we're asking is for this situation to be rectified ASAP. Right away. We cannot encourage this. This is modern Guyana we talking about. A Guyana that can better afford certain things. I mean, if it was in those days when we didn't have money to bring in certain things and medication and we had to suffer as a result of our poverty, then I understand. I understand. But this must never be the order of the day where we're running out of basic medication for our citizens or patients. 679-7846 is the number to call. Anyway. 679-7846. Give me a call. Any topic, any question can ask. I may not be in a position to answer everything, but you can ask a question if I am able to. I will definitely answer your question. But if I'm unable, I will make a note of it, get the answer from the relevant authority, and then I will get back to you. 679-7846. Give me a call. I'm calling Wednesdays on point blank. Finance commander, serious attack from a sow, a red sow, you know. Commander, serious attack from a red sow. Trying to get a picture of this thing. Oh, Ramses. Yeah. 679-7846. Give me a call, please. Half an hour in, no call yet. You're not gonna change this thing from calling Wednesday to talk out Wednesday, you know, and just keep talking, talk out. You know, no holding back, just talk. Then of course on the night and be modest. According to me, little daughter say, me? Modest? Me? Me. 679-7846. Give me a call here on calling Wednesdays. Nobody bye. No message. People only saying good night, good night. Yeah, you know it's a good night. You know it's a good night. Thank you very much for your good nights. But type a comment. Let me pick it up from there. Just good night, sir. Good night. God bless. Good night. Good night. Good night. Yeah. You know, it's a good night. Good night, watching from New York. Good night. Good night. Have a blessed night. Good night, sir. Good night. Come on, man. You could do better. This is point blank, you know. One time I used to work taxi, driving around Linden, do taxi work. And then I start working $100 car. So when I start working the $100 car, every time someone stops the car, come into the car, they say, good morning, or good afternoon, good night, good night. And they slam the car door and they sit down. You see, by the time I hear the fourth good morning or good afternoon or good night, the thing that send a message to my brains, and I just respond like, hey, I don't want to hear no good morning, good afternoon from nobody. Because the good morning and good afternoon followed by the slamming of the car door, blam. That thing used to irritate me. But you got bear up with it because this is your daily bread. Your daily bread. You're irritated by the givers of your daily bread, by them being polite. Good morning. And they slam the door, blam. And you're forced now to respond to, yes, good morning. To everyone that come in and say good morning or good afternoon, you respond good morning or like you respond likewise. I start thinking how I got deal with this thing. Because there is no nice way to deal with something like that. From you tell somebody, man, every time, no, they consider you rude. And you can't present yourself as rude when you depend on their dollar. You gotta take it, suck it up, take it. Here what I do. I figure out a way. I start working from Georgetown, from Linden to Georgetown and Georgetown to Linden. I said, good. So when the car loading now, you're going to passengers, you're requesting them 1, 2, 3, 4, car full. By the time you get to the car, all of the doors are already shut. So you go in the car and you sit down and you say, one good morning, everyone. And everybody respond likewise, good morning. And you do your trip safely. Bam, reach the tongue. You don't hear no more car doors shut or open till you reach tongue. One drive. So that irritant is eliminated. But you just have to find a way, change the route. So you get one good morning from them and one set of car doors closing until you reach it. But then something else developed. The people, after commuting for such long distances, will each time raise a conversation, about current affairs. And guess what? Being a member of the PPP, there's some of the comments and the slurs that be directed to me spot on. Yeah? You think of the vex? There was right up my lane. Every time they open their mouth and they talk PPP rank talk, right up my lane they gone. And I just used to take my time and dismantle some of their arguments. Dismantle some of their arguments. One, and two, had an opportunity to just build my argument in support of what the PPP government does. So it was a win-win for me. I ain't hearing the slamming of the car door and the annoying good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good evening. I ain't hearing that. And then they get a long talk, long conversation, and it's politics and current affairs and that kind of thing. right up my alley. So I used to benefit a lot from doing the work over a long distance, you know. So in everything you do, you can make adjustment to the benefit of you. And that was one case in point where I restructured how I work and it benefit me. And I also benefit the party. You know, there's a party I work for all the time, you know. Continuously work, I telling you. Watch. Even when I left the PPP and go to the ANUG, some of my work was directly in support of what the PPP was doing. But here why I couldn't get in problem for it. Here why. Because the agenda of the ANUG and the PPP was the same, to remove a wicked Granger administration from office. And we did it successfully. Successfully. Both the ANUG, without even collaborating, without even having any friendly dialogue with the PPP, the ANUG worked alongside the PPP for the removal of the Granger administration. And that was that was some skillful doings on behalf, because the PPP knew what they had to do in order to get the support of the other political parties that contested that 2020 election. But let me tell you something. Every single thing is not good. Everything is not good. You see the woman named Asha Kisoon. Dr. Asha Kisoon, a dishonorable woman sitting in the parliaments of Guyana, sitting in the seat of the ANUG. Let me tell you how the thing infuriates me. Because I was a part of the setup. I was a part of the setup. It wasn't even our idea for the parties to come together. In fact, she objected to it. And now she gets 254 votes, least votes of all the parties that come together. And that that woman of a, I don't even want to use derogatory words for describe this woman, but she stink and present herself as somebody for who to look up to. Asha is nasty. Asha is bloody. Asha is dirty than a dirty pad. Asha Kisoon. Yes, sitting in the parliament with her nasty self when she should have vacated her seat a long time ago. She would have spent more than twice or allotted time based on the number of votes. She violated the spirit of the agreement. How can somebody like that live with herself? Live with herself. And I want to know who the people that support that kind of nastiness by Asha Kisoon in the parliament. Because she got to get supporters. Because if people start condemning she can't go to parliament and sit down there to make any contribution on the people's behalf. She would have served her time. Her term is up. Go with grace. Bow out easy. And then it's people like you condemn Granger for wanting to rig an election. It's rig your rigging. Make you staying in there right now. You're a rigger and you're more nasty than Granger because you condemn them and now you turn back and you do the same thing. No friggin' conscience. No conscience whatsoever. And then when bad thing happen, I want to know why they get something named karma. Karma! I don't believe there is another person in this place that more nasty than Asha Kisoon. Betty Chris, good night. And thanks for your blessings on me and my family. Same to you, you and yours. Cosmic Dreams, there's somebody name. Somebody has got some name, eh? Cosmic Dreams. Anyhow, Cosmic Dreams, good night. Kim Fong, good night. So 679-7846 is the number to call. Give me a call here on Calling Wednesdays on Point Blank. And if you don't want to call, you can send a message. Send a message. 679-7846. Give me a call. You are so right. Many of the people do the hard work on the road. Things people see every day. It doesn't get led but focus on people on the road and being victorious is first retreat to the opponents. Yeah, Neil Mendez, he's saying, you're so right. Many of the people did the hard work on the road in supporting the PPPC every day. They doesn't get the highlight, but facing the people on the road and being victorious is a personal victory to be recognized. You know, I don't know, but a lot of people, a lot of people are crying out of working hard. Every day they work hard in this political arena and they don't even get the recognition that they deserve. But rather, some people sit on their high horses and practically do nothing and get the praises and the recognition. It's an unfair world that we're living in. Very unfair. But it may be long, but not forever. It's like taking advantage on the underprivileged. Too long we living in bondage. Advantage of the situation. Me do the work, you get the promotion. Yeah, that's what it's like. But everything is temporary. And one of these days, The people who actually do the work would be promoted. And when the time comes, I will smile again and laugh again and walk out of this prison, you know. 679-7846 is the number to call on Point Blank Calling Wednesdays. You know, I did that poem years and years ago. And you know, was funny thing? I learned that poem from David Hines, man called Twilly. Them time, my first caller. Good night, caller.
Good night, Dakani. This is your frequent Wednesday night caller. I just don't want to disappoint you. I want to make a little contribution today. From last Wednesday to today, there's been a lot of great happenings in Guyana, and I just want to make a few comments. The first one was that we were so, when have we ever seen like one of the greatest presidents of the United States coming to Guyana, mix
What
and mingle with our people,
one of
and
the
he had some,
greatest presidents of the world.
yeah, he's the greatest. And he's inspired the young generation in Guyana. I think they are inspired by his leadership, and to have him on the ground with Guyana with his humbleness and everything, and to see, he, shaping up with a cricket bat with the president was a great moment for Guyana. So
Ye-
I think we are being recognized. The world is recognizing Guyana today, so we should all feel very proud that we have made, we are on the headlines of the world today. That's my first point, my brother. The second thing I wanted to point out is that there's going to be a lot of activities going on tomorrow and into the weekend. Tomorrow, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo will be visiting the South Georgetown area again, and I'm sure he would be flocked. And I'm still looking to find out where those folks at the United Nations are talking about, or making the allegation that they are frustrated Guyanese about the Vice President Bharat Jagdeo. Who is frustrated? Look at the pictures and the world can tell you this, but there's this small group of people who are financed by the multi-billionaires who are trying to, they're not getting their way because the government is taking care of the people on the ground, not the few millionaires that used to get the big bites. So, of course, they're spending their resources there to try to pull the government down, but that's not going to work. It never worked. The last point I want to make, I don't want to take too much of your time, is that I just looked at a video here of a BBC journalist who's currently in Guyana and he's going around. You should take a look at it, and I'll be sharing it later. He was asking President Ali, I think it was earlier today or yesterday, in a conversation, I was asking President Ali, and he was talking about why is Guyana rushing. I was talking about climate control and everything. It is such a powerful moment. It's one of those moments again where we remember President Ali advocating for reparations for the people of the world
Mm-hmm.
against one of those arrogant British journalists. Today again, this one tried it at him, and I don't know if he didn't see the one prior to this, but he got the real dose from President Ali.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should take a look at this, where he was trying to advocate that Guyana has so much oil, contributing to so much, pollution and everything. And President Ali had to remind him that, come here, and this is what's going to happen in the future, that a few financiers in Guyana are going to try to use big world media. They're trying at the United Nations, they're going after BBC now to try to come here to stay in the government. That's not going to work. Massa days are done, my brother. And if you look at, he's like partnering up with, he's in Guyana right now, and he's partnering up with Abri Norton, everybody, and he wants to get an opinion. So I'm sure when he goes back to the UK, he's going to do a full program and make this attempt again. So we got to be very careful about this. Again, we should not tolerate these colonial masters to come in here to destroy an independent country. Guyanese, don't fall for this again. And we should support our government and the president in everything that they're doing. If you look at it, there's tangible evidence of this country moving forward. And I'm not saying this, the world recognizes. The French wants to set up an embassy in Guyana, first in the Caribbean except the French islands. So these are things that we got to pay attention to. We cannot sit back and think like we are still in the 50s and 60s. We are moving on. We see the influence. We are exposed to social media. We got to watch these things in a very objective manner. Forget all the BS and the noise in the background. If we don't make it now and we support this government here, be prepared. Guyana would be destroyed forever if people want to make that choice. Please, Guyanese, again, my Wednesday night comment, my brother, I want to thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you very much. And caller, please do share that link with me.
I will do. Definitely will. Yeah, even I want to tell you that yeah, if you go on Garden Mosley, I was kind of surprised. He shared a link. I was saying, oh, President already. Well, it was just I think it's right is right. We gotta put country before ourselves. And if we are here to defend our country, regardless of which side of the aisle we are sitting, we must always defend our country and must call it out. And we we cannot support these mass. The guy, he had on his hat like the days of colonialism, walking in the streets of Georgia. You know how embarrassing to the ancestry of our country to be tolerated by the opposition, walking around with him, you know, plying the streets of Georgetown, which they have destroyed, and now want to come, and President Ali pointed out to him, you are not going to come here to lecture us. But I would definitely share that link with you, my brother. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
And thanks for calling. That was our first caller. And while we were on that call, someone else was calling, so I will call them back to see. Hello, good night, good night. Yes, sir.
Standing around right from New Amsterdam, coming down to get you home, right?
Yeah.
That's like you went out of state and come back, man.
Yes, man.
You show over, or am I live on your show right
You're
now?
you're live caller.
Right. So all my brothers and sisters here, man, from Linden, 10, Region 10, and so forth. But you know something when me want a message, me want to tell them. All of them who making barking like a waste dog. You know a dog when you pass by it only want to bark to tell you master me hungry, you should see me walking now. Give me some food.
Mm-hmm.
The question I want to ask them, can they ask the party who they support and who they're so proud of? What the hell did they do for us? I only find out all the time. Is a black man taking advantage of a black man? I find out all the time, every time we vote them people they say in and they get into government, they're only celebrating for themselves with
Mm-hmm.
my vote. They
Mm-hmm.
won't do anything to help me, man. I don't want them to help me just like that, the thieving and bribing and all of these things. Look how this party coming in and doing so many things. When the man get a contract, they say, oh, we taking money kickback. When they were in government for 5 years, these scums, I call them scums, all they do is they say we're doing this thing, we're doing that thing, we're doing the other thing, we're giving contract. Of course, they're working hard. They're giving contract for what? To fill their pocket. The work never gets started or get done. But the money spent. And they want me to believe them what they're saying and they want me to vote for them again. Now, how can I do something like that?
Hmm.
You mean me a pet? You mean me eye blind? But no, we tell you one time already, but tell back the whole nation. What I want to tell them is this. This who suffered during the strike, the teacher strike. All black man going on strike. All black man children suffering. They only try to punish us all the time, you know. They try to keep us long all the time. Why do they want to keep us long? Because if we say stupid and ignorant, and we become the bastard, like that Mr. Green Carl. He's telling us that we are the bastard, we the black people. Because he wants us to be bastard and be ignorant and be dumb, so they can always run over us and tell us all kind of stupid things. In the time that we children need to learn education, and one and say that no, we're gonna strike.
Hmm.
They don't know to read. I don't know if they know to read or write, or this is the raspas they put in on. You know what I mean? The raspas mean that they know what they're doing, but they put in a spin to everything to put it like another way, like they're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the way they want to create turmoil. So now our IPA teacher and the stupid black teacher now come be out of a month pay or the time they took. Because they're not gonna pay them. I could sort you that.
Hmm.
So now the story come, how we supposed to vote in Guyana, and I'm gonna put it black straight out. A black man a coolie man. You want to call him a coolie man because that means laborer. You call a man a slave, it means a man who don't get money. But they give you clothes, they give you a place to live, and they give you food. When you add up the money that they give to the coolie man and the black man labor, free labor, slave, you come up to the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because those incidents used to pay them like 3 pence. 3 pence means 6 cents. You know them British pence and shillings and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Pay when you used to get. So it wasn't like the black man you walk all the time and the coolie man was getting on top of us. No. And when the coolie man come back from cutting the tail on the farm, he get chuk in the yard, you know?
Yeah.
Like a man, like a St. Lucian man named Willie, go and buy a piece of land, and he start to fuck up the land. He fuck around the bush, he fuck all over, then he put the seed, he get something grow, because he fuck up the land.
Mm.
Now, we got to cut out this thing about slave, but who in the hell is slave? I want to know who is a slave. You go to the toilet, you got to clean your rear end. You calling that slavery, so you want to stink, you don't want to touch your rear end, because it's slavery.
Hmm.
From us, the people, like Lyndon, 5 years we ain't got nothing improvement there. You got to not commit to government. All I think is how to make the country better. And we, the stupid people, you know who we supposed to fight? Not the coolie man. We supposed to fight the black man who we put into power and don't do nothing for us. When they come around to our area to come and keep their meeting, we should catch them and beat them.
Hmm.
We should beat them. Yeah, you know why we should beat them? We say you go back to Joshua and get this thing right.
Caller.
Don't come here and tell us about anything. 5 years, 5 years. All you do is giving contract and doing this. No work, no work. But all the money is chief. Deliberately want to take 25 million, $18 million from Exxon as bribery and give up a 40 contract.
Yeah, that was shameful, you know, to
Wait a
know.
minute, I want to tell you something more about it, which both sides not talking about. So, my man, and Benja, you know what we call the manger? You know the manger where the pig side of the pig eat from?
Yeah.
The manger. The manger, no, man, them Ghana set up and sign up a contract with Exxon. And they didn't put in the part which are getting kickbacks when the oil start to flow.
Hmm.
The Kuliman come and take over the government and their ass is burning down, if you understand me.
Mm-hmm.
Because the money they're supposed to get kicked back and thief back, but they're going to the Kuliman pockets. So you know what happened? You get another one named Scumlal. There he said, oh, how come they're not that? Why you can't negotiate the contract? You can't negotiate the contract because you made a rotten deal and you're going to fill your pocket. Unfortunately, Manger couldn't stay into power. That's why he held up the process for over 2 years. And even after the election, he will hold for another 5 months.
Yes. Yes.
And you want me to force them back into power? These people don't know. They live like a hungry Manger dog. I'm telling you, man. You think they will give me something? You know how I survived during the Ranger time? He's a good man that give me a little bit food. And give me kids something. Because I live among them. He's not a black man, you know.
And you
Mm-hmm.
know something with all of them who talking, all the politicians and who getting the pay and everything like that. And up to today in Glasgow, you know how much of them working in all the governmental office and collecting money and they don't even got to work. And if you go in the offices, sit down, they don't do nothing here. But they getting a salary.
Yes.
It's all the teacher. Every one of them get salary. You got Fat Donald went to London the other day and was talking. She started telling people them, oh, yeah, this thing costs so much money, that one costs so much money, this thing costs so much money. How the teacher gonna live? I want to say, woman, which country you from? Which part of the world you from? You talking about what thing costs, and you said that's why the teachers strike. The teacher getting over $100,000 a month, come rain or shine, snow or whatever you get, which we don't get. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking for the New York people and things like that who listening, the West Indian people who listen to us. You talking about how the teacher will survive? They get them free meal, they give them lunch to children, the teacher eat them. They got all kind of talk, man. For me, the ordinary person come there to listen to you. I really want to use bad words, but I can't do that. To Miss McDonald. She call him Mr. McDonald instead of Miss McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
Who illegally occupying two jobs, you know. Working with the union and working in parliament. Collecting two salary. You see that thievery that going on?
Mm-hmm.
She collecting two salary and you want to tell me about cost of living? Who hardly get $5,000, $6,000 a day? And many days I don't get it because we can't work.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying, Connie?
Yeah.
Connie? Yeah, man. So we gotta tell our people, stop being foolish. The goal is who give us a better livelihood and who come in and tear down our livelihood. And
So
who give us a piece and who give us a few peas, a rice and things like that to cook up with food and stuff. Who give us some plantain and something? Is that the black guy?
it
They
was
show
only the
us for
PPP.
5 years. They show us even be before the 5 years. Do you know how many black people working in the sugarcane industry in Wales, in Kanji, in Skelgon, in all the places here? How many do you know how many hundreds and thousands of black people collect their money when the PPP come into government?
Mm-hmm.
$200,000 that we got or something like that, you know? The black man never gonna give us that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we don't call PPP and PNC, I want to tax straight, man. I want to call out who are the two major government running the country.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? Yes, me and got nothing to hide. This is not time to talk nonsense. You know, this fella here, he can't get himself arrested. You know, this nothing. He talk and he don't understand his own English what he talking. I don't know where he went to school. Many of them went to Georgetown University when one of the guy, I forget his name now, that is in the GCOM there. That was one time the administrator for. This is how they got a little a bachelor degree. But when in parliament, all of them who they can't describe, they can't speak nothing properly, nothing. It's not I am telling you, you're listening to what they're saying. They can't bring up, you were in government for 5 years. You did not do nothing. All the radio station, like Glenlal and Penlal and Genlal and them, and Kaichur, Paichur, and this one, what you call it? What is fella name again?
Bench cup.
This command here with the news. He
Oh.
never got nothing good to say. He got no proposal. Nothing. And this
Anyhow,
fat guy, man, that has his own program there for the
any
news or something.
anyhow, caller, I really appreciate your contribution.
No, man, it's very hurtful, man. We can't go to the poll again and vote for people who will take us backward. That's all I want to tell my brothers and sisters, right? I'm telling every black man because we can't talk for anybody else. I'm
Okay,
talking for myself.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you for
We can't go and vote for people that want to take us backward, like what Major did with us for
Never,
5 years.
never again, never again, never again.
Yeah, but you don't understand. We people are still ignorant and stupid too, you know.
Hmm.
And
We,
we act ignorant and stupid, you know. Man, you gotta understand this thing. Akali, you're a great chat, man. I always like your program, but you keep up the good work there, brother.
thank you very
You know,
much, and thanks for your
yeah,
contribution
man.
tonight.
We gotta speak out. People gotta speak out. When we speak out, then everybody start to speak out
You know,
because it's better for us.
Nelson Mandela said,
We,
right? He said, this world is not going to be destroyed by wicked men, but rather by people who stay silent while wicked men operate. Caller, it was a pleasure having you here tonight on this call. I appreciate your contribution and look forward for many, many more contributions on Wednesday night. We have
yes,
long
man.
past our program time. And yes, so again, I would like to say thank you. And you do have a very blessed night.
And good luck to you, man. Keep up the good work, too, right?
Thank you. So Richard Stanislaus, he says in his one of his post comments here, he said, it's like at that point that the opposition realized that they don't have a possibility of regaining power, have decided to burn the country down and support and give gasoline to those who would. That's very strong. Regardless of your political persuasion, how could they support and condone and cheer on the BBC reporter? Well, call it, contributor, they're so um hateful, want of a better word, so hateful that they don't care whether or not the reporter is right or wrong. But as long as it's coming up against leaders of the PPP, they will support blindly whatever anyone who comes up against the PPP does. And it is a sad, sad situation that our country has faced, um, found themselves in. Tonight, I just want to say thank you very much for those who would have joined the program and stayed on the program, and thank those who would have joined also and left. And I will ask for your continued support here on Point Blank Calling Wednesdays. So, again, as customary, I will say that our country is too rich to have poor people. And I call on the authorities, regardless, to do everything in its power to flush out poverty from every nook and cranny so that our people can enjoy a comfortable, prosperous life. Again, I would just like to say thank you very much. And it was a pleasure being here. And I will continue to be your producer on Calling Wednesdays on Point Blank and on Point Blank on Sunday night. Once again, I say thank you. God bless and peace out. The internet is behaving kind of bad tonight, so but thank you very much.